Shocking decision revealed. A girl asks a millionaire, his life-changing response is incredible. Emma stood in the sprawling atrium of Harrington Tech, her heart pounding in her chest. Around her, classmates laughed and gawked at glossy screens and fancy robots. But Emma felt different. She could smell the burning ambition in the air, a scent of opportunity mixed with the bittersweet tang of fear. This was it, a glimpse into the world she longed to join, a world filled with lines of code and the promise of a better tomorrow. Born in a small Midwestern town, Emma lived with her mom, Maria, a tireless spirit who juggled 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. Dinners were brief but filled with hope. Each conversation at their worn kitchen table was layered with dreams and the tangible weight of their struggles. But here, in the heart of that corporate glimmer, Emma felt a fire ignite within her. She looked around, and despite the soft chatter of her friends, all she could hear was a resounding voice in her head urging her, "Speak up." When the moment came for questions, she stood tall, heart racing. The crowd shifted, eyes landing on her as uncertainty tangled in her gut. With a deep breath, she locked her gaze with Duke Harrington, the billionaire at the helm of it all, and spoke. "Mr. Harrington, I want to chase my dreams. I want to study computer science, but I need financial help. Will you support me?" For a moment, silence hung heavy. Emma's cheeks burned, and she could feel her classmates' stunned faces, whispers floating around her like paper planes. But Duke's expression shifted. The surprise in his eyes morphed into something warmer, something that hinted at understanding. "You remind me of myself," he said slowly, his voice like gravel. "The drive you have, it's the same one I had growing up. Hard work and sacrifice led me here." Her heart raced as they plunged into a deep conversation, one about grit, loyalty, and what it truly took to chase the American dream. Emma poured her heart out, daring to challenge the very prejudices that often dictated success. It felt electric, inspiring. Hope coursed through her veins, and she could almost foresee the possibility blooming before her, but then, the ground shifted beneath her. Instead of a check to help cover her college tuition, he offered her an unpaid internship. "Experience is where the real education is," he explained. Emma felt the weight of disappointment crash into her. The anticipation of support evaporated, replaced by frustration. "But I need help now." Yet deep down, she felt a flicker of something else, a chance. Back in her town, the news of her internship spread like wildfire. Everyone had their opinions. Some believed in lifting yourself by your bootstraps, while others lamented over the unjust realities of unpaid work. But no matter the drama, they all knew one thing: Emma was determined. Fundraisers popped up, people rallied. Things got tough as she balanced schoolwork and the demands of interning. There were moments she doubted her strength, those tight-chested nights staring at the ceiling, but every "you can do this" from friends and family became a lifeline. Soon, she stood at a crossroads filled with uncertainty, but also glimmers of hope interlinked with her community's support. The path ahead was daunting. Just as she found strength to face the challenges, a phone call from Duke turned her world upside down. Emma's heart thundered with anticipation. What would he say? Would it bring her one step closer to her dreams, or would it slip away like so many before? The phone rang 3 times before Emma managed to hit the answer button. "Hello." Her voice trembled, tinged with both eagerness and fear. "Emma," Duke's deep voice came through, steady and commanding. "I've been thinking about our conversation." Her breath caught in her throat. Hope flickered like a match in the darkness. "Yes, Mr. Harrington. I'd like to offer you a chance to prove yourself," he said. "I know you're juggling school and the internship, but I want you to lead a project. It'll be a pilot program for our new coding initiative targeting local high schools." "Lead a project?" Emma could hardly breathe. "But will it be paid?" "There will be a stipend." His tone softened. "I believe in the potential of young innovators bringing real change. This is your opportunity." Excitement surged through her. This was it. A paid position and a shot at showcasing her ideas. But then doubt crept in. What if I mess up? What if I let everyone down? Emma, that's part of the journey. Growth comes from taking risks. Just remember it's okay to fail. His words struck a chord deep within her. If you're willing to take this leap, then I will support you. You have something special, and it's time for you to embrace it. As the conversation wrapped up, Emma's heart was racing. She hung up, her walls trembling with a blend of fear and exhilaration. Her instincts screamed both excitement and terror, but she felt stronger now. This was her moment to shine, to prove to herself, her mother, and everyone back home that dreams were worth pursuing. Maria caught her as she burst through the door, an uncontainable smile plastered across her face. What has happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. Mom, I got a chance to lead a project at Harrington Tech. It's paid. Emma shouted, unable to contain her joy. Her mother's eyes widened, tears pooling. Emma, that's incredible. I knew you could do it. They embraced tightly, both feeling the warmth of hope wrapping around them like a cozy blanket. But as the days turned into nights filled with relentless coding, meetings, and planning, the weight of expectations began to shadow her shining opportunity. Each decision felt monumental. The stakes were higher than ever, and the pressure built slowly, like a pot on the verge of boiling over. Emma battled self-doubt, the gnawing fear that maybe she wasn't cut out for this, that the project could flop and everyone's hopes could come crashing down. Yet every message from her friends and the support from her mom surged in her veins, reminding her why she was there in the first place. Just when she thought she had found her footing, a wrench was thrown into the works. She received an email inviting her to pitch her project to the board at Harrington Tech, the big wigs. Her heart raced as she read the words. This was what she had been working toward, but now the terrifying pressure to impress loomed on her. What if they hated her ideas? Would this be the end of her dream? Emma? The soft voice of her mentor brought her back to reality. Are you okay? You look a bit pale. I'm just scared, she admitted, feeling the weight on her chest return. Fear is a part of this journey, Duke said, his expression calm. You have the vision. Now, imagine what it means to share that vision. It's not just about impressing them, it's about believing in yourself. In that moment, Emma realized she needed to confront her fears head-on. She could feel the fire inside growing stronger. She took a deep breath, her determination sparkling anew. But could she truly rise to the occasion? The clock was ticking, and soon she would have to face the board. What would happen when she stepped into that room, pouring out her dreams, fully exposed? With her heart pounding, she prepared for the biggest moment of her life, not knowing that a shocking revelation was waiting just around the corner. The day of the pitch arrived faster than Emma had anticipated. The sun cast a bright, inviting light through the window of the small meeting room, but Emma felt anything but sunny. Her heart hammered in her chest as she glanced at the clock, only 10 minutes to go. She paced the room, rehearsing her presentation for what felt like the 100th time. Every word felt critical, each sentence a potential lifeline to her dreams. But doubts kept creeping in, whispering harsh critiques. What if they didn't get her ideas? What if they laughed at her? Emma, breathe, she whispered to herself, leaning against the cool wall. The reality of the situation pressed down on her. She wasn't just presenting to anyone, she was standing in front of the board members, influential men and women who had the power to shape her future. When it was finally time, she stepped into the boardroom, her stomach flipping. The long table was surrounded by stern-faced executives, all staring expectantly at her. Duke's reassuring nod met her eyes from the side, and it provided a flicker of comfort. She closed her eyes for a moment, diving into the well of memories of her mom's pride, her friends' encouragement, and the late nights filled with coding. Good morning, everyone, Emma began, her voice steady despite the nerves. I'm here to present an initiative that aims to inspire high school students to engage with coding through interactive learning modules. She glanced around the room, trying to gauge their reactions, her pitch rolled off her tongue as she detailed her vision, her passion igniting each word far more than the polished slides behind her. As she highlighted the benefits real-world skills, creativity, and opportunities, she noticed a few heads nodding in approval. Emma lingered on a personal note, sharing a brief story about her own experiences with technology and her dreams of making coding accessible to everyone. This was her truth, her heart laid bare. "Thank you for your time," she concluded, wrapping up her presentation with a nervous smile. "I believe this project can change lives." A heavy silence settled in the room as the board members exchanged glances. Heart racing, Emma felt the moment stretching. She held her breath, then exhaled slowly, waiting for their response. "This is impressive," one older gentleman spoke finally, his voice measured. "You've put in a lot of effort, and your passion shines through." But Emma's heart plummeted, the hope she felt moments ago starting to wane. "We need more details on the budgeting," he continued. "A project like this will require funding, and we need to understand the financial implications." Duke stepped forward. "I think that's a fair concern. Emma, would you like to take the time to prepare further details for them?" "Yes, I would," she replied, a new confidence emerging. "I believe I can align this with Harrington Tech's values and mission." Just then, an unexpected moment shifted the atmosphere. One of the board members, a woman with striking confidence, leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Emma, tell us, if you had the option, would you consider expanding into areas beyond coding? Such as robotics or AI?" "What?" Emma's mind reeled. The woman continued, "Your project has potential far beyond high schools. Imagine if it involved partnerships with local tech firms to create workshops." Emma felt her heart race anew. "Are you suggesting I explore those opportunities?" "Explore?" "No, I'm insisting," the woman smiled, her enthusiasm infectious. "With your passion, we can create something remarkable." The weight of uncertainty lifted, replaced by possibilities. Emma's mind whirled with ideas. What could this mean for her project? But then, the door swung open, and an unexpected figure stepped into the room, interrupting the moment. The breath caught in Emma's throat as she recognized him. It was the last person she expected to see. "Mr. Harrington." She gasped. What was he doing here? Did he know something she didn't? The board members turned in surprise, intrigued by Duke's sudden entrance. Emma stood frozen, caught between elation and confusion. What could he say next, and how would it change everything she had worked for? Mr. Harrington's presence seemed to fill the room with an electric energy. All eyes turned to him, brimming with questions. Emma's pulse quickened. She felt both exhilarated and terrified, as if a weight had been lifted but replaced with a heavy uncertainty. "Thank you for allowing me to join this meeting," Harrington said, his voice calm, yet commanding attention. "I couldn't help but overhear Emma's presentation just as I arrived. And it's important to me that you understand how much enthusiasm I have for her vision." Emma blinked, unsure of how to process his words. Did he support her idea? Wasn't this the man who had built his empire on hard work and practical decisions? What did he see in her proposal that warranted his interest? "I've been following Emma's progress closely," he continued, glancing at her with a hint of a smile. "Young innovators like her are the future, and it is essential that we nurture their potential. We cannot just react to rapid changes in technology, we must lead them." However, he paused, looking around the room. "I think we need to look beyond budget sheets and numbers. Those can always be recalibrated, but moments like this where ideas meet passion are rare. I want our company to embrace that." The board members exchanged uneasy glances. They had questions, important ones, but something about Harrington's conviction was hard to question. Emma's heart swelled. This was the support she had longed for, a force backing her quest to make a difference. "What's your proposition, Mr. Harrington?" the older gentleman asked, his tone more curious than confrontational. "Let's give Emma the resources she needs to expand this initiative," Harrington replied, sparks of determination in his voice. "I want to stand as a partner in her journey, not just as a financier but as an ally." Emma's jaw dropped. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Was he really willing to invest his time and money into her dream? Her mind raced, spinning with possibility. What if they could truly create a program that transformed lives, integrating robotics and AI? Mr. Harrington, Emma stammered, caught off guard. He raised a hand, gently silencing her. Before you say anything, let us ensure the support is tangible. I propose we establish a collaborative task force. Collaborative? Emma couldn't help but marvel at the idea. Like forming a partnership with tech firms and local schools. Exactly, Harrington confirmed, nodding. We can work together to develop workshops that resonate with students and ignite their passions. But we will need a well-structured plan. That's where you come in, Emma. In that moment, the weight of the world felt as if it had shifted. All the late nights, the anxiety, the fear, could they finally mean something more? Would her dream finally take flight? Emma turned to the board members, who were now watching her with renewed interest. I promise to put together a comprehensive plan. I believe we can create something exceptional that truly resonates with young people. But the confident woman interjected, her gaze focused, we still need to know if you're ready to take on more responsibility. This is a big step. Emma's heart pounded. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The challenge ahead could make or break her, but she felt more alive now than ever. I'm ready, she declared, her convictions echoing in the room. Let's take this further, together. Just then, Duke chimed in with a supportive grin. We'll create magic. But as Emma soaked in the excitement, she caught a glimpse of the time, realizing their meeting was running longer than expected. The fear of losing momentum gnawed at her, but then she saw Harrington lean in closer. Emma, remember, challenges lead to growth, he said softly, locking his eyes with hers. Are you prepared for the sacrifices that come with success? His words hung heavy in the air, sparking a sense of dread along with the hope. Success came with a cost, a truth she had always known but rarely acknowledged. Am I prepared? She whispered to herself as the room filled with a mix of hopeful chatter and speculative murmurs from the board. What sacrifices awaited her as she stood on the precipice of her dreams? What choices would she have to make along the way? With each thought racing through her mind, Emma realized she was on the brink of a journey that would change her life and the lives of many others forever. But was she truly ready to navigate those unknown waters? Emma stood there, surrounded by her peers, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. The board members were murmuring amongst themselves, but in this moment, all she could hear was the thrumming of her heart. Harrington's encouragement gave her a rush of adrenaline, yet the weight of his question loomed in her mind. Emma? A voice broke through her thoughts. It was Duke, leaning closer, his friendly smile encouraging her. You okay? Yeah. Just thinking. She waved her hand dismissively but could feel the chaos within. This is a huge opportunity, Duke. What if I fail? Failure isn't the end, you know. He said, his voice steady. It's part of finding your way. If Harrington believes in you, that's a start. She felt buoyed by his words but still apprehensive. She thought back to her presentation, the way her ideas had poured out like watercolor on canvas, all vibrant and full of potential. But was it just pretty art, or could it really create change? I'm just scared, she admitted quietly. What if I don't live up to the vision? Hey, you've shown everyone here what you're capable of already. Trust yourself, he encouraged, placing his hand gently on her shoulder. The sincerity in his eyes made her heart swell. Glancing toward Mr. Harrington, she saw him exchange nods with some of the board members. They were warming up to the idea, but doubt still flickered like candle flames in her heart. What did she need to sacrifice to get this off the ground? Her evenings? Her weekends? What about friends? The door slowly creaked open and a sudden hush fell across the room. The intern peeked in, holding a clipboard. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the press is here for the interviews. What? Emma squeaked, realization dawning over her. She had barely considered the public angle. The last thing she wanted was to trip over her words while being watched and judged. Duke chuckled lightly, trying to lighten the mood. Well, there goes your chance to play it safe, huh? Shut up, she grinned despite the rising nerves. This is a lot. Just remember, they want to hear your passion. You've got this. He stepped back, giving her space to breathe. Emma drew in a deep breath, feeling the tightness in her chest ease momentarily. Harrington caught her eye again, and she felt emboldened by his confidence in her. She couldn't back down now. Let us do this, she murmured to herself. Emma stood tall as the intern waved her into the next room where reporters awaited, eager to capture her every word. As she stepped into the brighter light, the camera flashes went off, momentarily blinding her. It was surreal, and she felt the fluttering of anticipation and fear fan out like wings. Emma Sanders, ladies and gentlemen. The intern announced. Let us talk about the groundbreaking initiative you've designed. Before she spoke, she paused. This was her moment. Thank you for being here. I believe we could reshape the future, she began, her voice gaining strength with each word. But just as she detailed her hopes, a voice from the back interrupted. What makes you think you can deliver on such a big vision? One reporter shot out, skeptical yet intrigued. Because it's not just about me, Emma asserted, adrenaline flooding her system. It's about a community coming together to inspire future innovators. Behind every big dream is 1,000 small steps, and I'm ready to lead those steps with this incredible team. The room shifted, she could feel them leaning in, listening intently. The pulse of doubt that had shadowed her began to lift. Was this possible? Could this vision find its way into reality thanks to her words? But as the questions continued to pour in, another flicker of uncertainty ignited within her. Would saying the wrong thing derail everything she had worked for? How could she maintain this level of commitment while also defending her right to speak? Emma. A follow-up question, another reporter called out, further tightening her focus. On the precipice of taking a monumental leap forward, she wondered how deep the waters truly were and began to question the very foundation of her journey. Did she truly have the courage to swim? With the spotlight on her, the stakes had never felt higher. But was she ready for the tidal wave of inquiries about to crash around her? The room buzzed with murmurs just as she braced herself for the next question. Emma felt the weight of a spotlight so fierce it seemed to illuminate every doubt and fear she harbored. She glanced at Duke, who stood at the edge of the crowd, his face a blend of pride and worry. It was as if he had stepped in to buffer her against the wave of skepticism washing over her. Emma, another reporter's voice cut through the fray. Large initiatives usually require significant backing. How do you plan to secure funding for your project? The question slammed against her like a wave, catching her off guard. She had rehearsed her pitch, but had barely touched on the financial aspect. She opened her mouth, the silence echoing as she searched for an answer amidst her flurry of thoughts. We plan on reaching out to local businesses, and she felt heat creeping up her cheeks. And I've gathered data to support potential revenue streams that will benefit them too. A nod from Harrington encouraged her to continue. We want to create partnerships that not only promote our program but elevate the businesses involved in it. A community thrives when we all invest in each other. Strong words. For a moment, she surprised even herself. But could she keep that momentum? Another reporter shot her a skeptical gaze. But partnerships take time. How can you ensure that progress won't stall while you're waiting for support? A knot tightened in her stomach. Time. It felt like the enemy now, and a question flickered like a beacon in her mind. Time is crucial, but I believe by demonstrating small successes early on, we can build trust and interest. I'm a firm believer in the power of proving your worth through action. The words hung in the air. Emma felt buzzes of energy shifting through the audience. Heads nodded slightly, she could sense the beginnings of understanding. A shift had occurred. Duke had stepped forward, leaning toward the crowd. Emma isn't just talking numbers, she's talking results. She wants to inspire change, not just for today, but for tomorrow's generation. The room grew quieter, voices fluctuating on the edge of realization. They were listening, a collective breath held in anticipation. But then another voice piped up, a more commanding tone. You're passionate, Emma, but real change requires more than passion. We need rigorous plans and verified outcomes. How will you measure success? Her pulse raced as she wondered if she was even ready for this. Who was she to discuss measurement when she felt uncertain herself? Yet, she couldn't show weakness. I've outlined key performance indicators, she began, heart racing. Monthly progress reports, feedback from stakeholders, and community involvement will all play a part in how we gauge our impact. If we're not making positive strides, we'll adapt. It's vital to remain flexible in our approach. The words poured out, fervent and determined. But just as she thought she had regained her footing, another reporter interrupted. And what if things don't go as planned? Are you prepared for the possibility of failure? That question lingered, pressing into her mind. Failure. It felt colossal and haunting all over again. Failure can be a teacher, Emma found herself saying, the confidence paradoxically swirling with doubt. If I fall, I'll rise again. What matters most is the lessons learned and how we move forward. My commitment is to make sure that the journey continues, regardless of obstacles. A moment of silence stretched out, and she caught glimpses of expressions: curiosity, skepticism, even a hint of respect. The questions continued, firing at her like arrows, each one pushing her deeper into the core of her belief. With each response, she felt a flicker of control replace her earlier anxiety. There was something exhilarating about sharing her vision, despite the unpredictability of it all. Yet, the realization of the stakes echoed within her. Every answer shaped the path ahead, inscribed in the collective minds of everyone watching, but amidst this burgeoning confidence, she felt a shadow of fear. Was she really ready for the sacrifices that lay beneath the surface of building something meaningful? As she wrapped up with a final question, Emma's heart thundered. Without a doubt, I'm all in. But are they ready to join me on this journey? The tension hung heavy, revealing a space for something greater than she could have imagined, a realm where dreams could collide. And as thoughts raced through her mind, one prevailing question remained: could she truly convince them to take that leap with her? The answers, she knew, would shape her future forever. The crowd shifted, a low hum of uncertainty rippling through the attendees. Emma could see the intrigue on their faces, curiosity mingled with doubt. But in that moment, she saw something flicker in Duke's eyes, encouragement wrapped in unspoken words. It steadied her. "All right, that essay wrap," came the voice of Harrington from the side, cutting through the tension like a knife. The clamor began to fade, but Emma felt a lingering pulse of energy in the air. Questions hovered like invisible weights above their heads, clutching at the edges of their minds. As the reporters began to disperse, Emma's heart raced at the thought of what she'd just encountered. Every question had not only tested her resolve, they had become a fire fueling her determinations. She felt energized, but uncertainty still nipped at her heels. "Emma." A familiar voice broke through the fading murmur. It was Laura, her close friend and supporting cheerleader. "You were incredible. I can't believe how you handled those questions." Emma smiled, gratitude washing over her. "Thanks, Laura. But did you see the look on their faces? I think I rattled them a bit." "Rattle is good." Laura nudged her playfully. "You showed them you belong here. You didn't back down." But as the praise washed over her, doubt crept silently through the cracks. What if she hadn't made the impact she thought she had? What if they all left thinking she was just another idealist full of empty dreams? "Did you see that tough reporter?" Emma asked, her voice tinged with unease. "He wasn't convinced at all. His question about failure made me feel like everything I said could just blow away." "Forget him," Laura waved her hand dismissively. "You turned the tide. When you talked about partnerships, I could see the room wake up. They want change. They need someone brave enough to spearhead it, and that's you. A warmth bloomed in Emma's chest, but there was still a worry sitting heavy at the back of her mind, the looming threat of failure she had mentioned. What if the pressure of realizing her vision became too much? Her thoughts lingered on the sacrifices she had mentioned, the long nights and the relentless commitment. The voice of one last reporter whispered in her head, echoing ominously, "But what if things don't go as planned?" "Hey," Laura interrupted, grounding her back to the moment. "What's next?" "Serious momentum is building, and I hope you have a list of investors to reach out to." "I do, I have a few names in mind." Emma hesitated, another flurry of doubt rushing in. "But I need help, Laura. I can't do this alone." "Let's start with Duke," Laura encouraged, tilting her head towards where he stood. He had been enveloped by a few eager listeners, but there was a spark in his demeanor that drew her in. Emma swallowed hard. I don't want to ask too much of him, you know. He's got his own life to manage. A life that could change because of you." Laura nudged. "You got everyone talking and questioning things that matter. You need him backing you, and he clearly believes in you." The thought settled myriad possibilities in her mind. Would he offer his connection, his resources? Could she really add one of the city's most influential names to her corner? With a deep breath, Emma nodded, gathering her thoughts like a shield. "All right, let's do this. He deserves to know what this means to me." As she walked toward Duke, her heart pounded once more, not solely from anxiety but burgeoning excitement. The moment held the weight of potential, the kind she had been craving. "Emma," he turned as she approached, a smile illuminating his face. "You stole the show back there. Everyone's buzzing about your project." "I hope so," she said, the vulnerability in her voice surfacing. "But I need your advice, the kind of connections only you have." Duke's brow furrowed as he studied her. "You mean backing for your initiative?" "Not just backing," she clarified, trying to keep her tone confident. "I need to strategize." "We have to." Before she could finish, a woman burst through the crowd, her expression frantic. "Excuse me, Emma. I need to speak with you. It's urgent." Emma's stomach dropped. The urgency of the woman's tone twisted her instinct, suspicion rising. "What now?" Duke exchanged a questioning look with Emma, worry flickering across his face. What could be so important? As the woman moved closer, Emma felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. What if this was the turning point she hadn't anticipated? "Emma," the woman breathed, her voice shaking ever so slightly. "I have something you need to hear. It could change everything." Emma held her breath, curiosity rippling through her veins, mixed with apprehension. What did this stranger have to share? The unexpected twist hovered ominously on the edge of revelation. The woman's urgency echoed in Emma's ears, a strange urgency cutting through the post-event buzz. Emma's mind raced, trying to connect dots faster than the woman's heavy breaths filled the air. "Who are you?" Emma asked, her voice barely louder than a whisper as she took a step closer, half nervous and half curious. "My name is Clara," the woman replied, hands trembling. "I work in a foundation that's looking for partnerships. After hearing your presentation, I knew I had to find you." Emma's heart skipped. Partnerships. That was exactly the path she was looking for. But the tension in Clara's stance made her hesitate. "What's this about?" Duke interjected, stepping slightly in front of Emma, protective. Clara held up her hand, as if to calm the storm brewing in Duke's expression. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just you need to know this before you pursue any connections." Emma felt the weight of the crowd pressing against her back. The news she was hoping for hung just out of reach, and yet, a sense of dread filled the crackling air. "What do you mean?" Emma pressed, needing clarity. "What do I need to know?" "About the foundation and funding. There are some changes in our board," and Clara hesitated, searching for the right words. They're shifting focus. They might scrap the whole project and replace it with something less impactful. Less impactful? Emma's heart sank. What do you mean by that? Look, if you're serious about your vision, you must act quickly. They're considering selling the foundation's assets for profit instead of community development. Emma felt her pulse race. It was all she could do to keep from falling apart. But why? Money talks. You know that, Clara replied, shaking her head sadly. If you have a proposal that can show real impact, real change, this might be your only chance to get support before those plans take over. Duke glanced at Emma, uncertainty etched on his face. Is this even credible? How do we know you're telling the truth? Clara's expression hardened. You'll have to trust me or miss your opportunity, she insisted, urgency spilling over. You were the one that stirred the crowd today. If anyone can bring that change, it's you if you can get to them first. With every word, time seemed to stretch and constrict. Emma felt the stakes rise, reality sharpening around her like a blade. The chance to make a difference, to harness what she had begun, hung in the balance. What do I have to do? She asked, determination sparking anew. You need a game plan now, Clara urged. The board meets soon. I can help you present, but it's going to take every ounce of passion you have. Emma glanced at Duke, feeling the weight of both his presence and his unwavering gaze. His faith in her felt like a lifeline. Okay, I'll do whatever it takes, she said, her voice steadier than before. Good. We can meet tomorrow to discuss the details, Clara replied, visibly relieved to see a flicker of hope ignite within Emma. Wait, Duke interjected, you're willing to risk everything on this? Emma didn't waver. Yes, because what's the point of being afraid when there's so much on the line? The tension in the air buzzed violently, a storm of clarity and hope. Emma could feel the energy shift around her, as if the universe itself was aligning behind her cause. As Clara nodded seriously, Emma understood this was the moment she needed to seize. Trust in herself, in her vision those whispered doubts began to quiet, but just as she began to focus on this new path, that familiar gnawing sensation crept back in. Was she truly ready to make this leap? Are you sure? Duke asked, reading the uncertainty in her eyes. You'll have to be all in. Emma took a deep breath. I have to be, Duke. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about everyone who believes in change. Clara's eyes glittered, focused and fierce. Then let us change the world, one step at a time. But remember this battle won't be easy. Emma nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle squarely on her shoulders. She took a final glance at Duke, who hadn't moved yet. What if we fail? He whispered, just loud enough for her to hear. Emma's heart raced. Then we stand back up and keep pushing forward. With that, the urgency stirred hope anew. Tomorrow would bring challenges, yes. But it would also bring opportunities, the kind she had yearned for. Let us do this, Emma breathed, determination flooding her spirit. As Clara began to outline a plan, Emma felt charged, ready to act. She looked toward Duke for reassurance, but found his contemplative gaze fixed elsewhere across the hall where more reporters were gathering. What is it? She asked, curiosity peaking again. Duke frowned. Something doesn't feel right. Do you sense that? What could it be? Instantly, Emma felt a shift. Resilience met its match. Fear twisted in the pit of her stomach. Let us find out, she said, ready to uncover the truth that was unraveling just beyond her reach. The real test of her journey was just beginning. Would she have the strength to face what lay ahead? Would she be ready for the unexpected turns that could change everything, once again? Emma's heart hammered in her chest as Duke's gaze remained locked on the gathering reporters, a sense of unease twisting in the air. She felt the momentum of their conversation hanging by a thread. What did he see that she didn't? Clara noticed their distraction and leaned in closer, her voice a hushed whisper. Stay focused, Emma. You have to be ready for anything. I can feel the shift in the air just as you do, she said, urgency weaving through her words. But Emma was torn. Duke's concerned expression pulled at her heart. She stepped toward him, brushing his arm gently. What is it, really? He looked at her, uncertainty clouding his eyes. I just sense something brewing, something big. Those reporters don't just gather for nothing. Clara moved slightly, craning her neck to glimpse what lay behind Duke. Let us keep our heads down for now. We can't afford distractions. This is too important. Emma nodded, trying to shake off the anxiety constricting her. You're right. Let us not get distracted. As they continued to outline their strategy for tomorrow, the whispers of the crowd transformed into an ominous murmur. Emma swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the moment. Reports of change were disturbing the very foundation she had hoped to build. How precarious everything felt. The door to the auditorium creaked open, and a tall figure stepped through the threshold. Emma recognized him. Bradley, the head of the foundation's board. He possessed an air of confidence that could charm any crowd, yet it was that very charm that had disarmed her when she'd first met him. But this time, there was something off about him. He walked towards the reporters, the world outside suddenly silent. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering today, he began, his voice smooth and commanding. I have an important announcement regarding the future of our foundation. Emma instinctively turned toward Duke, a mix of dread and anticipation spinning in her gut. Clara shifted beside them, her brows knitting together in concern. As Bradley continued, claiming shifts in operational goals and a recalibration of community focus, Emma's heart sank. The very vision she clung to was being dismantled right before her eyes. We must prioritize growth and expansion. Our mission has evolved, and with it, the project supported by the foundation. No. No, this can't be happening, Emma murmured, her voice barely escaping her lips. She felt a wave of despair crashing over her. What had felt so hopeful moments ago now seemed rapidly slipping away. Duke squeezed her hand lightly. We've got to stay calm. He's not done yet. Suddenly, a reporter shouted, what does this mean for existing partnerships? Bradley paused, a glint of reassurance flickering in his eyes. It means that we are moving forward with proposals that reflect these changes. Existing projects will be re-evaluated, including those led by Emma Lewis. Emma's breath hitched. Emma, you need to stand up for what you believe in. Clara urged, her voice a fierce whisper, igniting a spark within Emma's chest. Duke leaned closer, a whisper just for her. This is your moment, Em. You have to speak up. With that, a fire ignited within Emma, flickering against the shadow of doubt. She was no longer just an observer, she had to become a player in this game. She stepped forward, her body trembling with both fear and resolve. Excuse me, Mr. Bradley, she called out, her voice cutting through the din. Heads turned, and the hall fell into an expectant hush. Let us talk about what truly matters, Emma began, her thoughts racing faster than her heart. Would she be able to connect her future vision to the board's new goals? Would they hear her plea? The crowd's gaze bore down on her, a collective breath held in anticipation. As her heart raced, she wondered, had she finally found her voice? Now on the edge of confrontation, she could almost taste the tension in the air. What would Bradley's response mean for her future and for the community she was determined to uplift? Emma's voice resonated through the hall, her nerves transforming into a steady fire. Excuse me, Mr. Bradley, she said, her heart thundering like a drum in her ears. Let us talk about what truly matters. The room fell silent, every eye on her. Doubt danced around in her chest, but this was her moment to reclaim her voice, her vision. I've poured my heart into this project, she continued, with dreams not just for myself but for every student who feels overlooked. Changing the focus of our foundation means more than just numbers, it means altering the lives of those who can benefit from opportunities in tech. Bradley's brow furrowed, but Emma pressed on. What happens to the kids in our communities who want to learn coding, robotics, or AI? How are we going to create voices of innovation among them if we scrap their chances? The crowd shifted, a wave of contemplation rippling through them. Duke's confident smile stood unwavering in the background, urging her on. Empowering youth means investing in them right now, she said, an urgency pounding in her veins. They're ready to change the narrative, to rise beyond their circumstances like I did. Together, we can craft a future where every child has the tools they need to succeed. She felt the warmth of hope wrapping around her words. Clara, standing by her side, caught her eye, eyes shimmering with encouragement. Emma took another step forward, sensing the need to go deeper. Let us not only rethink expansion but challenge what we stand for. Foundations were created to uplift communities, and there is no greater service to humanity than ensuring every single youth can learn and grow. The room was silent, absorbing her words, and Emma felt a strange mix of exhilaration and relief enfold her. She had poured her soul into this moment, every doubt, every late night leading up to this point now culminating in raw truth laid bare. Bradley shifted, glancing at his fellow board members, uncertainty flickering in his expression. But she didn't let up. If we don't believe in our children, who will? She pressed, standing tall. Every child in this room, every child outside these walls has the potential for greatness. It's time we put our resources where our heart is. A ripple of murmurs swept through the crowd. As she cast her gaze around the room, she noticed nods, glimmers of understanding. And right now, I'm asking you to invest in something beyond just profit. Let us create a program that cultivates innovators. Let us give our youth a chance to lead the charge in technology. Please, let us not decide their future behind closed doors without their voices. Emma took a deep breath, heart racing. What she saw before her was more than representatives of the foundation. They were powerful allies, people with the ability to make real change happen. But it was up to her to ignite that fire. Imagine a partnership where your foundation provides not just financial backing, she continued passionately, but mentorship, hands-on workshops, real-life experiences that shapes the next generation. That is how we create growth. That is how we inspire. From where Duke stood, pride radiated like a beacon. He stepped forward, his voice adding an undertone of solidarity. We can make something great happen, not just sustain old systems but build pathways for fresh talent. The crowd's energy shifted as brief conversations sparked between board members. Emma felt hope bubble within her. Then Bradley spoke, his voice clear yet cautious. You make compelling points. But there are fiscal implications. Emma jumped in, fueled by adrenaline. Let us draw up a plan together. I'm ready to work side by side with you on the budget. Let us highlight measurable outcomes. Let us anticipate challenges so we don't lose vision. This doesn't have to be an either-or situation. The room stood on the balance, eyes moving from Emma to Bradley, then back. Perhaps, Clara interjected, her voice strong and resolute, this is a chance for the foundation to define itself anew. Committing to impactful change means stepping beyond the ordinary. Bradley exchanged a glance with Emma and then, in a moment that seemed to stretch on forever, he nodded slowly. All right, he said, the heaviness in the room lifting. We'll discuss this new vision and explore how our foundation can not only support it but lead the charge. A wave of relief washed over her, and a cheer of excitement erupted from the gathering crowd. Emma couldn't believe how far they had come, from a spark of an idea to a full-throttle movement to uplift young innovators. As eyes turned to her, she could feel the collective support wrapping around her. She felt her mother's warm embrace in her thoughts, the echoes of encouragement from friends, and Duke's unwavering belief in her. All the sleepless nights and battles with self-doubt melted into a sweet sense of victory. Emma took a moment to soak it in. Together, they were creating a wave of change. Standing in the light of passion and possibility, she knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready. She had faced the fears, embraced the challenges, and come out the other side. True change required courage, and she had found an abundance of it within herself. This wasn't just the end of one story, this was the beginning of so many others. As the gathering wrapped up, Duke sidled up next to her, a proud smile spreading across his face. "You did it, Emma. You opened their eyes." "I couldn't have done it without you and everyone," she replied, her heart racing with exhilaration. That he nodded, stepping closer. "Now, let us get to work." And as they walked together, the world around them pulsated with new possibilities, each step echoing with hopeful promise. Emma felt alive, unstoppable, ready to embrace the future ahead. "Just wait and see," she murmured softly into the breeze. "This is just the beginning." The transformation was real, and its echoes would resonate through every heart willing to believe in the power of dreams. Now, more than ever, it was clear Emma was not alone, and together, they'd forge a new path built on courage, determination, and unyielding belief. If this story inspired you, then you need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that could fuel your own journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the momentum going. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share your dreams with us. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is your moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to help our community grow.